Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast for a Toyota Winners Lounge podcast powered by your Front Range dealerships and presented by Bet365. I'm Rudo. Joining me again is Bailey Curtis from the Hockey News to talk about the Avs' fourth straight win, staying perfect in the preseason. Before we dive in, let's start there. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
Yeah.
It's a fun opportunity to see some of the depth guys, some of the prospect pool, but all in all, it's something to get excited about. But ultimately, I'm just kind of counting down the days till opening night.
I think we all are. I think you'll hear from Colton later in the show. He was like, yeah, sometimes preseason's kind of stinky.
Well, I mean, even Bednar too. He was asked about the shortening going into next season. He was like, I cannot wait for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agree. Preseason is not about the wins and losses column. There's no doubt about that. But still plenty to get into from the game for the Avs. I do want to get into it, I promise. But there's other big news today that I want to talk about with the Kaprizov signing.
Yeah.
$17 million AAV.
It hurts to look at a little bit.
It's a lot of money. There's a lot of dollars on that guy's contract.
And thinking into it too, the next year or two, it makes you, obviously that conversation's already started to come up, but like, what do these big guys on expiring deals in the next year, 2 years start to look like? McDavid, you almost wonder how exponentially higher that's going to be. Yeah. You wonder if it factors in any way into Netch's situation, even though, maybe he's not as highly touted of a player, but how much does that factor?
That's exactly the question I wanted to ask you. Do you think this affects Netch's contract at all?
I think in a way, yes, maybe not as much as people are expecting it to. I do think this makes him a little bit more confident in asking for the 10.5, maybe that route.
Sure.
And that makes it seem a little, it's not as outrageous as other people might be thinking.
Yeah, I'm not trying to slight Marty Necas by any stretch of the imagination. He's a really good hockey player, but he is not in that elite tier of NHL players like a Kaprizov, like a Nathan McKinnon, like a Cale Makar. And yet, if Cale Makar goes to the Avs at the end of the season and says, I want 20 mil, the Avs are just going to have to sign the check.
Again, I've been saying this for like the past year. It comes down to when Makar's contract ends. That is a blank check situation. Yep. You give that guy a pre-signed check, say write down the amount, there you go.
With Necas, I think there's enough comps. You have Mikko, Marner, Nylander, Pasternak. There's a couple of other guys I can't think of. There's enough comps in the 12 or under-ish $1 million range where the Kaprizov one just kind of feels like an outlier.
In a way, I do understand where the deal comes from, especially with the cap rising.
Sure.
Here in the next couple years. So some of those, $12 million deals that are signed right now are going to look insanely good in 3 years. So that's where you start to kind of ask the question: are we slighting him in any way, or is he worth what is now, or what could have been like $9 million today?
Sure.
What would be $11 million down the road?
Right. Definitely a factor of the cap going up, but I still struggle with Kaprizov, not just because of the caliber of player he is, but it's a very unique situation. Minnesota, yes, has the cap going up. They also have a ton of cap space from the falling off of the majority of their 2 buyouts. And Kaprizov is their best player.
I was going to say, you're talking about a franchise player, which that is the only thing that I think would maybe not factor into Netch's situation, maybe more so related to a Connor McDavid type situation.
Yes, exactly.
Netch's is not the Avs franchise player. He's a great acquisition.
Arguably their third best, maybe fourth. Yeah.
Definitely not the worst in the top 6, but definitely I wouldn't consider it. He's vying for maybe that third best spot, I would say.
I think that's fair. So who knows? We'll see. Natchez' deal will get done when it gets done. Put it to you that way. But let's actually get into the game today.
Yeah.
Avs call up a bunch of dudes to ice a lineup of guys that they've already sent down, and they have sent all of them back down immediately now after the game. Nothing too unsurprising there. But if you're a coach like Bednar, how much are you really taking out of a game like this at the NHL level?
I think this kind of game is a situation that gives Bednar an extra day to assess some of those unknowns. You get an extra look at Bardakov, who he mentioned, we'll get into his presser later, but unprompted, could not say enough great things about what Bardakov has done in the last couple games that the Avs have had. Gavin Brindley was mentioned again, which I don't know how he fits into this roster currently, but definitely somebody he's keeping an eye on for a situation to call up in the future. That's really all I think this is. You're not really looking for any kind of holes to fill. This is solely just, okay, who haven't we sent down and what can we say about them? How can we assess their game with 2 games left?
All right. Fair enough. I do want to assess some players on an individual level, but let's start with team stuff as a whole first. It's the preseason. Don't hit any panic buttons. Don't read too much into it. But the Avs are 0 for their last 14 on the power play.
Yeah, not great.
It's not good.
Not good at all. And that's one of the things that I started noticing during the first period is like there is a small sample size to go off of here far going into the game. I thought the penalty kill looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Especially when you're considering for both of these units, this is not a full unit.
It's true.
You're looking at a Jack Drury, Gavin Brindley on the PK, who were, again, fantastic. One of those guys likely is not going to be on the roster full time.
Yep.
And they looked fantastic. The power play, on the other hand, I don't know. Ross Colton and Malinsky kind of spearheading things there, and I was not overall impressed, and that is what I'm choosing to tell myself for this game, is that this is not a full power play that we are seeing currently.
Arguably, there's one guy in this game that's actually going to be on your power play in Colton. Beyond that.
And again, that's what I'm choosing to tell myself is if we're 0 for 14, okay, fine, whatever. This game, I feel like, is kind of an anomaly because, as you said, Colton's really the only guy we're going to see slotting in there. So I'm choosing not to count my chickens just yet and looking at that.
Yeah, and I don't even think the power play was necessarily that bad. The Avs hit the post on one of them.
I definitely think it was better than Game 3.
Yeah, right. When you remove the concept of scoring goals, which I know is hard to do on the power play, but you're talking about a new power play coach. You're talking about system installs. I don't think there's that much to hate on in a game like this other than just, it'd be nice to score a goal every once in a while.
Right.
But you have decent movement on the power play. You have guys shooting pucks. Jack Ashawn was jumping in and picked some nice spots as well. Obviously, they didn't score, but I don't think it's something that I'm too keyed in on and worrying about. And on the flip side, when you talk about that penalty kill, you have a lot of the pieces that are going to penalty kill for you in this game, at least on the forward side. Yeah. Colton doesn't really PK for you, but Drury does. The expectation is Bardakov will. If Brindley gets in the lineup, that's a way he can get some time there. Kivy certainly does. So it's good. It's more important that unit looked good than it is the power play looked bad to me.
Right. And again, you're looking at good things to take out of games like this. You're not necessarily looking for, the win is nice to get.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. But this is really, again, something to assess for some of those regular players that are going to be in there and then kind of keying and narrowing down your roster at this point. Being able to take away that good thing from the penalty kill is okay, great, cool.
Yep.
That's really all it is for me anyway.
Something positive at very least.
Right.
It's again, I'm not gonna tell you the Avs are winning the chip because of one preseason game. It's
right. Again, preseason.
Yeah, we're not gonna go that far with it. But you look at them as a team, and again, Vegas's caliber of player is wherever you want to place it. It's not like the Avs iced the All-Stars either today, but
and that's something I was going to point out too. Is you're getting a very mixed squad from your Colorado Avalanche, touted as one of the worst prospect pools in the league. And I think that's another kind of positive to take out of this preseason, even though it may not count for anything. Something to sit there and say, hey, even if we do have the worst, one or at least one of the worst ranked prospect pools in the league, they're still doing this. They're still putting up great goals. I mean, again, some of those are kind of anomalies with Gavin Brindley and looking at great players like that. But this is another positive, I'd say.
I do think you start to dabble the line of what counts as a prospect at that point in the Avs system, but surely
very valid.
You get to at least feel a little bit better about what the Colorado Eagles have in the bag, even if it's not ending up with players on the Avs.
Mm-hmm.
So
coming off of a great season heading into the postseason too, Letestu's got a great setup.
They should be good at both levels this year, and that's the hope. Game as a whole, honestly, I think a lot of this game boils down to you got what you wanted out of the NHL players, right? Yeah. You have, obviously, multi-point nights from Colton and Drury. I want to talk about Malinsky in depth a little bit more, so I'll save him. But other guys that are pushing for your lineup, as you mentioned, Bednar says he loved Bardakov. I don't know that I loved him tonight. We can talk about that, too. We'll get into his
moments.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it tonight. But you have great possession metrics to the important guys in your lineup. It was an all-around solid night for. We have Ross Colton, right? Just let him play it. He says it very well that preseason's stinky, but it still matters.
Right.
Ross, we talked to you last week about finding some consistency with line mates and getting running a bit with Jack here. You guys connected on multiple. Just how was it tonight?
It was good. Yeah, it was fun. I just feel like I said the other day, like you can practice all you want. They made me look good in practice, but like you got to get into a game situation. So as much as preseason games kind of stink, like it's good to get out there, get your game legs underneath you. I think we felt way better tonight than we did the other night. So again, it's just reps. It's a long season. It's a long preseason too. That's for sure. So that was a lot of fun playing.
It seems like you guys and Gavin, kind of the hallmark of what you were doing, like driving the net, putting pucks back there. Is that something that, again, you talked to us about that? You guys are trying to just get pucks in the net, follow.
Yeah, I mean. Just when we were playing, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. I think it's just we all play hard. I mean, Brins has brought a lot of speed, a lot of, he's got a lot of skill over there. So I thought he did an amazing job tonight. He was chipping pucks out of the wall, and then I don't know. I just feel like Betsy preaches that we got to slash, and we did that a bunch of times, and we got rewarded. So I thought we were good defensively too. So again, just it was fun just trying to get chemistry with some guys.
Different start from the last game that you played. Again, with the chemistry, we talked about it, but was it just instant with Jack as soon as you got out on the ice?
Yeah, I love the way he plays. We played a tiny bit together last year, right when he came over, and then so again, I don't know what the lines are going to be come day one, but just he's so reliable. You know where he's going to be all the times on the ice. I love the way he plays in the D zone. He shuts plays down and he kind of moves the play forward for transition. And with me and Brins, the speed we had, I thought we just kind of fueled the play like that. So yeah, he did an amazing job.
Thanks so much, Rob.
So is that the big takeaway then? The Colton Drury connection? To throw Brindley in there if you want on that line. It certainly, when you look at Bednar's angle on it, he said early on in the preseason, we use this to find chemistry. We're going to look at everything. We're going to see what we want and figure out our lines from that. Going to be hard for me to split up Colton and Drury after this game.
Oh, absolutely. And they were kind of the standout, obviously, playing on that first line. You expect them to be the best out there.
They needed to, but they were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's exactly what you want to see out of a situation like this. And it gives you that confidence heading into the regular season that this is what you're going to get, even when you don't have an Olofsson on that other side, and that they can still perform the way that they did and connect the way that they did in front of the net. I think is a positive takeaway from that.
I don't want to stir the pot too much, but I do think we might have a conversation about that other wing side. Now, maybe it's the third line, maybe it's the fourth line. I do want to get into it more, but we do need to take our first break of the show before we dive in. So let's make sure we're doing that and paying our bills, as we are brought to you today by the fantastic folks, new partnership with Dick's Sporting Goods. You got to get over there. Stop by your local Dick's Sporting Goods for the hottest apparel and footwear from top brands like Nike, Adidas, FP Movement, VRST, Calia, DNVR, and more. That's right, DNVR stuff now available at Dick's Sporting Goods. You can find us in most Dick's Sporting Goods across the Front Range. Plus, you can score the latest equipment for basketball, football, soccer, basketball again, golf, baseball, all of it. Even your tailgating essentials, they've got you covered. If you find stuff at a lower price, Dick's will match it with our best price guarantee. So jump in, get your gear fast with free curbside pickup at your nearest store and easy shipping from Dicks.com, because every season starts at Dick's. Once you've got your apparel, jump in and make sure you're taking care of your money with Monarch Money. You gotta have one of these apps today. These days, I'm telling you, it's crazy out there how much stuff I end up signing up for and forgetting about. And Monarch Money will show you not just that stuff that you're spending on, but will show you your entire financial portfolio. I can speak. I can get there. Go in with Monarch Money. Obviously, they take care of it all for you. They'll show you your investments. They'll show you your finances. They'll show you your bank statements, whatever it is. Monarch Money has it all covered because they are a full financial command center. And they're backed up by a lot of different people. They were named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. Forbes named it the best app for couples. CNBC named it the top finance tech company in the world. You can jump in with Monarch Money today by going to monarchmoney.com. Use code DNVR when you sign up, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's half off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Look, I'm not trying to oversell Gavin Brindley here, but I threw a poll out on Twitter. I had a little bit of fun with it. I asked who was the better player today, Gavin Brindley or Yoel Kiviranta. 87% of people said Gavin Brindley was better today. Now, Kiviranta has an NHL track record. Kiviranta has tenure with the Avalanche. There's more to just one single day that gets you onto the Colorado Avalanche lineup. But at what point with the training camp that Gavin Brindley has had, do you start saying, hey, we just cannot say no to this guy?
I think if he has a good next 2 games, I think there's a very, very serious conversation that needs to be had. I think you bring up a good point in saying that one is NHL tenured,
Yeah.
one is not. One has made his NHL debut, one has spent multiple years in the league and just reached his career high, and that's nothing to be shirked away from as well. In saying all of that, in lieu of that, Gavin Brindley's more than proved himself, not just through these preseason games, but he's shown how much of a grinder he can be at his size. Yeah. Which, I mean, even in today's game, he was trying to push a 6'2" guy over, which I'm like, whoa. And that just goes to show the amount of tenacity, the initiative, the drive that this guy has to make an NHL roster. I think, again, heading into these tomorrow against Vegas and the final game, if he plays for both of those and can prove himself at a level against maybe more tenured rosters, I think that's the biggest thing to be looked at here. Is he's not playing against full NHL rosters either, but he's still doing this. So there comes that conversation. And if he can prove himself against a more tenured roster, maybe that is a more serious conversation they have about a 13th forward.
And it's not coincidence that he was playing with Colton and Drury today.
No. He's absolutely earned that spot.
Right. There's a conversation about where to use him and how to use him. We'll get to Bednar's presser, as we've said, but he talks about him having a higher skill set. So that is a potential option at some point in the season. And it's a fair point. He has a point in every preseason game, but how many of those are against real NHL talent?
Right.
Maybe not a ton of that going on there. But at the same time, when you have a guy like that, it sometimes it's the carrot and the stick, right? At a certain point, he's earned the carrot of maybe making an NHL debut for the quality play that he's shown up with. I will say today, I really liked him on that line on the rush. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you mentioned his tenacity, which is outrageous. 10 times out of 10, that's there, which you'll find a way to get to the NHL if that's how you play.
Right.
I do think a couple of shifts when you get set up in the ozone offense, some not great puck stuff was going on there at times. It wasn't perfect, but that's me nitpicking a guy who had a good game. So
I keep going back to something Keaton Middleton said off the record a couple days ago. And if you're going to talk to anybody about earning your spot on an NHL roster, he's probably the guy to go to. And
did it the long way. Yeah.
Right. And he mentioned that he will be earning his spot in the NHL until he retires. And with that drive and grit, I mean, you'll get somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's a similar position that Gavin Brindley's in until he can prove himself on a more consistent basis and has the opportunity to prove himself on an NHL roster. I think that's the kind of mindset that you're going in with, is he has the opportunity to prove himself, and he's almost kind of like that diamond that you happen across.
Got to polish it a little bit.
Right,
yeah.
But you're getting there, and it's starting to become a little more shiny, and there's still a lot of work to be done developmentally. I think he's in a good spot right now. Give him another year for me, and I think he absolutely has a chance. Like, there's no question that he belongs on an NHL roster somewhere.
Yep. A fair point from Max in the Toyota chat. If Brindley takes that third line spot, I'd rather have Kivy on the fourth line than Victor Olofsson. I think that's fair. Kivy was not going 100% tonight. He's an NHL roster lock in the preseason. That is what it is.
Right.
But compared to Olofsson or Brindley's archetype, certainly Olofsson's archetype, Kivy's going to give you a better defensive forward. That's just the reality of that conversation. Right. So,
and it comes down to what the Avalanche need more.
Exactly. Yep.
So.
That's what they're lined up with. Let's move to that 4C conversation with Bardakov as well. I really liked his first period, right up until he took the stupid penalty, which I get it, especially for a guy that you want to play a physical edge, want to be a 4C energy guy. I think you're going to live with some of the penalty stuff.
It's the risky run.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to live with some of that. Not that it was a horrible game, but I think it was his worst of the bunch so far.
I would agree.
The first goal against, I don't want to put it fully on him because there was kind of panic throughout the Avs defense with mismanagement of the puck, but it is a weak clear from him that ultimately ends up in the back of your net a few seconds later.
I think there's a lot to learn
Sure.
from a guy like Zakhar Bardakov,
Yes.
and obviously that's why you're trying him out in these situations. You see him in the first couple games start to get a little bit more comfortable on the puck. Ever since that hit in the game against Utah, you see him become a little more comfortable physically, and I think that's the balance that he's trying to find is. At what point do we draw the line of physical being too physical? And the Avs need somebody like that, I think, in the bottom six. It certainly doesn't hurt, I will say. But I think in a situation like that, he's still trying to toe that line. And that's where a lot of that development and coaching kind of needs to come into play in these upcoming days through the rest of practice leading up to opening night. And it can be done, I think. I would hope so. And that's, I think, something Bednar and Camp are going to kind of look at a little bit closer as we count down the days and helping him try to find that line and that kind of disciplinary factor.
And I do think it's important to note, while I think this was his worst game of the preseason, I don't think it was a horrible game by any stretch. He was really good on the penalty kill for them. He did a number of good things. He feels like an Avs player on the rush. He's willing to jump in with his feet and get pucks going north. I don't really think there's a conversation about who's the 4C. It's him until he loses it. But especially in these last couple of preseason games, like you said, the caliber of competition is about to start shooting up. And we're going to see how well he can continue to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, Bardakov,
he's earned it.
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest point to make here is he's absolutely earned that 4C spot.
He's one of the guys that's on the list of like, all right, I really want to hone in on him over these next couple of games. Let's really see what it starts to look like.
And let's also take into the fact, too, he's coming to a brand new system of hockey as well.
Yep.
So after an incredible season in the KHL, I think there's something to be said about him still kind of learning the ins and out of North American hockey.
It's North American hockey's, at least in the NHL, I mean at every level, but especially in the NHL, it's so fast. Even some people will call the KHL the second best league in the world. And the speed difference is noticeable.
Astronomical,
Yeah. So anyone who can adjust to that in one preseason is doing well. Put it to you that way.
Yeah, and again, this is going into a guy saying he's certainly still adjusting, and that's something I think he'll continue to do throughout the beginning of the season, assuming that he's earned that 4C spot and that he'll continue to hold on to that for a considerable part of the season. But that adjustment is something to be honed over 82 games.
And the most important part about it is the same thing as Brindley, consistency. If you're a bottom six player, if you're a fourth line center, they want your floor to be as high as possible.
Yeah.
The higher your ceiling goes, great, but that floor has to be there if you're going to play night in and night out as the bottom six.
Absolutely.
A couple other guys we can kind of keep rolling through here. Sam Malinsky. Another guy, a lot of these guys, it feels like, had up and down games. I'll put it to you that way. Fantastic breakout on the Avs' first goal. He gets it up the wall, springs it 2-on-1. Shout out Gavin Brindley as well. Nice little play along the blue line there to help spring Colton and Drury. And then in the second period, yes, the forward up high, Drury totally blew the coverage because he lost his stick. Totally. Malinsky, it felt like a dude who didn't feel comfortable on the left side. I'll put it to you that way.
I think that's a fantastic way to put it. It looked like a guy who was very, very timid on the coverage.
Yeah.
Had kind of no idea where his body was supposed to go. He kind of stuck out a stick, and it was like, oh, well, there goes the puck. And that's a goal. I didn't think Malinsky had a bad game. I think
me neither. Just one bad play.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately the one that we are going to focus on. But I think that kind of leads into he is very similarly to Bardakov. He is still learning his position. He's still learning what his new role is in this Avs organization. And there's a lot to be said about what this defensive core looks like heading into opening night and who he's going to be paired with and what that will do for his game moving forward. I think this was a good kind of learning. This is a game where they will, I think, pull a lot of film from and saying, hey, here's where, let's fix your coverage here. Let's fix your positioning here and move on.
Yeah, I mean, tenant number one, don't let him get to the middle, right? That's, and on his right side, if that same play happens, I'm sure 100 times out of 100 he has it.
Absolutely.
But on the left side, and I know there's a guy deep and he's trying to split the difference still. For an NHL caliber defenseman, that's a play you have to make. And one that Malinsky, there is no conversation. He's the F60. It's not like I'm saying, hey, there's a conversation about who's going to... No, it's Malinsky. But very clear and easy, as you said. They can go to the film room and be like, hey...
this is what we
You
need
know
to
what
fix.
you did. let's not keep doing that.
Right.
But, and then again, it's... The rest of that, he's still really good at getting pucks going the right direction for the Avs. He's not really... And he said it himself after the game, I don't really play on the power play much. I'm not even a big PK guy, so...
Hence why I'm not paying too much attention to the power play, but I digress.
It's just, you have to fill roles in preseason games, so don't make something where there isn't something,
Right, and I think for the most part he did that.
Yeah.
He's kind of answering the bell, and that's what you kind of go into in any game time situation is a next man up mentality, and I think... that's kind of, he's looking at this like, I'm going to give this my all, but I know this is not where I'm going to be for a majority of the season. And I think that's very, very important to kind of keep an eye on.
For sure. It's a lineup that it's just so hard in the preseason, man. Even the top line, we're like, wow, they played great. They did super well. Yeah, okay. In a real game, they play 14 minutes, not 18, because they're not the top line. So every little detail is, I don't want to say completely washed out, but it's like looking through a funny mirror for the details in the preseason.
Which, if you're looking at how much Bednar blends the lines during the games too, that's
true.
a lot of what happens.
That's true.
But
yeah.
at the same time, no, it is definitely a, you are the best guys that we are going to put on the ice right now. Let's see what you can do with that.
Here you go.
Right. Roll the dice. We get what we get.
Yeah. So fair enough on that front. Open it up to you. Is there anyone specific you wanted to talk about from the game, seeing as you were there?
I'm trying to. I kind of want to talk a little bit about Tristan Nielsen.
Let's talk
and
about
how, he had a really good first couple games with the preseason.
Yep.
I didn't really notice him all that much today. And I know this is a guy who is going to be a very strong presence on this Eagles team. I thought, again, his first 2 games, he's making cases for himself, because this was not a guy I expected to stand out on my roster when looking through these guys. And I think this kind of game was the game that I expected him to have in the preseason.
I think for a couple of guys, it felt like this game hit the wall for sure of, okay, you've earned your looks and now it's Eagles time.
Right.
So,
right. And that's kind of what Bednar said. Again, I don't want to jump the gun before we get to his presser.
Play him in a minute here, yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. This is just kind of time management for some of our guys who really don't want to play in 6 preseason games and are kind of counting down for that shortened preseason. But
just the honesty of it, yeah, for sure. I do want to hear that Bednar presser, but first we have to get to our second break. So let's jump over and make sure we're doing that with our time, as we are brought to you by the folks over at Volo Sports. I'm in a kickball league, just played last Sunday. Like half my team got hurt because they didn't stretch. Make sure you stretch. Volo, though, is the Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events. They've got tons of different leagues: soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, basketball, cornhole, many more. And playing with Volo is a great way to not only meet new people and make new friends, but it's a way to stay active and have fun. So jump in. You can play all over the city: Lodo, Rhino, Highlands, City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway, and more. Even if you're not in Denver, if you're in any significantly populated area, they almost certainly have a Volo chapter that you can get in and be a part of. Players can sign up as a free agent, a small group, or a full team, and all ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. You can use code DNVR10 for $10 off any Volo Denver league today. Get in with Volo and have some fun. It's enjoyable. To be honest, it's a kickball and flip cup league, so we're not so good at the kickball. We're all right at the flip cup. We do okay in flip cup.
It's the important thing.
Yeah. We are also brought to you by Shady Rays. Make sure you get some. I needed some playing kickball, actually. Kicked the ball right into the sun a couple of times, and I was like, well, I can't see it, so hopefully it doesn't hit me in the head. With sunglasses, I could have fixed that. Go get with Shady Rays to get your next pair of sunglasses. They have hundreds of different styles and polarizations for you to check out. You can go to shadyrays.com and give them a try today. You even have the best deal out there when it comes to the replacements. For the first 30 days, you don't like them, you lose them, you break them, Shady Rays will replace them entirely for free. So it's a great deal. You don't have to worry about wearing your sunglasses because you know you're protected. Go get with them at shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people at Shady Rays. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We have that Bednar presser, so let's hear from him and then we can really break it down.
Questions for Jared?
Coach?
Good.
We've talked to you a few times over camp about Ross and Jack playing together. They get on the ice tonight. They contribute a couple goals. Gavin Brindley's in on that too.
Yeah.
What do you think of that unit?
I thought they were pretty good. Yeah. I mean, big goal in the third. I really like that goal a lot too. Like, it's simple, but the execution and guys going to the net. Like, we got to, but 2 goals almost very similar. Colton's and Polin's, where we win a battle or make a play, skilled play out to the point, and the point man shooting it, and we got 2 guys going to the net, and we managed to get a couple touches on it, keep it alive, and get it back to the net front, where our third guy's coming and fighting off the boards and getting to the inside of the ice, and we get rewarded twice from it. So I like when things like that we're talking about in video sessions and practicing, when they show up in the game and we get rewarded for that. So I thought they did some good work tonight.
Overall thoughts
I liked him tonight. Yep, more involved tonight, I think, than the other games. Looked like he's getting a little bit more comfortable on the left side, made some plays. Yeah, so good stepping stone, step forward for him, I think, like so far from camp playing on the left, he was more impactful.
Brinley seems to be involved in every single game. You don't have a ton of spots available.
Yeah.
He's pushing. I guess what would you need to see to maybe, if he was to make his way into that opening night roster?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I need to see. We just need to see him continue to progress and continue to play the way he's playing. You know, like he's certainly not going to get on the score sheet every single night that he plays, but he's playing with some good players tonight especially. And we're putting him in some spots to see how he handles it. And he keeps, you know, answering the bell and stepping up. And I think he's been impactful on both sides of the puck too. So I really like him as a young player. It's just going to be like how we set up our lines, how many guys we're going to keep. I don't know any of that information just yet. We'll see. And we got, you know, a couple more games yet to watch him and Bardakov. I like Bardakov again tonight too. You know, he's a big physical guy that, you know, plays a little angry, and so we'll just see how the third line center position shakes out and see who we need and what we need. But they're certainly both good options for us, and I think both of them can play games for us. It's just a matter if they start here or not.
How can Ridley's skill set lend itself to more of a depth role?
Well, I think, you know, with the growth and what we're seeing with him being able to, like, he killed all the penalties tonight with Jack, with a guy, and they were really good. Again, it's not against Vegas's number one unit or number two unit, right? So we may see that tomorrow. We'll put him in some more of those spots. But if he's able to, like, pick up some roles and fill some minutes like that, that helps his cause. So we're going to keep putting him in those roles. I like his ability to make plays and be hard on pucks. And like I said, his motor and his compete are really good. But he does have, you know, a high skill set, right? So, you know, the third line is kind of up in the air. If we get OC back, does Jack come down and play with Kells and OC again? Like, we have the ability to send him down and play American League games and get lots of touches, and we have the ability to keep him here and keep him involved in different roles. So we'll just see how it all plays out. You know, there's nothing set in stone in this league. You got to prove yourself every day, but he's certainly doing a nice job through training camp and exhibition so far.
You make a couple cuts over the last couple of days, call some of those guys back up to playing games like this. What are you looking for guys like that?
Well, our guys only want to play so many games, number one, right? Like, just being as truthful as they can possibly be. They're all going to play tomorrow in Vegas. So you need veteran players, and you want to kind of make some lines that you think can work, and so we did for tonight's game. Also, we wanted to get down to one group early so we could practice, because we're losing some practice time on this road trip, right? Like, we got some team building stuff planned for our guys. So like Mondays and Tuesdays practices were very important to us. Sunday and Monday. So getting to one group is why we sent everyone down. Plus, they had practice there and started camp there. It helps the Eagles get rolling. And some of those guys, I think, earned another look, like, for a game like tonight, you know. So we wanted to call some guys back up and give them another chance, and they did a nice job.
I'm sure from a coaching perspective, it's a little bit different than, you know, players or, you know, us or fans or whatever. But going down to 4 preseason games next year, are you looking forward to that, or do you like having this kind of longer window to evaluate?
I like it a lot. I think it's too long. Camp's too long. Like, we went into COVID, like twice COVID, we came out of it with 2-week camps and played a couple exhibition games and started rolling. And like, my main thought behind that is we had guys here all August, and then like by September 1st, it's not like when back in the day when you showed up to camp to get in shape and you worked a summer job, and the guys aren't doing that anymore. They're training, you know, year round, and, you know, I think you get into camp, you go through all your systems, and that takes 4 days, and then you get into special teams for another couple days, and you review it all again, and you're 2 weeks in, and the guys are going, okay, let's play for real. You know, they're ready to go. The challenges are, if you got guys that are trying to make your team, where do you see them? Like, do we play more rookie games? Do we play, because there's not, if our guys are going to play 2 games, the guys coming in to try to make the team only have 2 games to play. Like, we're playing some of these guys and trying to make decisions in 5 or 6. So how do we see them? Is it more rookie games? Like, what does that look like? I don't know. But 2 weeks for me to get our team ready to play is plenty. Otherwise, it just gets long and your camp starts to take a dip. And then, the last couple of days before you go, the juice and energy comes back up and you see the intensity you want. I'd rather do away with the dip that's in there. And I think a 2-week camp helps you do that.
Good, guys.
Okay. All right, thank you.
We're all thinking it. Bednar said it. Preseason too long, man. It's too long.
It's too much, which you wonder in a situation like that, and it was something I'd hope he'd elaborate a little bit more on, but the developmental side of it, and what that going down to 4 games really does for your assessment, because teams approach camp and preseason in different ways. You see like major cuts happening in the first couple days. In a situation like Bednar, it happens gradually. And you almost wonder what that starts to look like in a situation like a 4-game preseason.
I'm gonna suggest something. It might sound crazy, especially in Bednar's tenure here. You could do scrimmages. It's an option.
And it's not something they're unfamiliar with either.
Once upon a time, they used to do a burgundy and white game.
Yep. And oh God, that was like 2 years ago that I saw the last one.
Yeah, that
I
was
think.
like the very last one.
Yeah. So would like to see that, but
just saying, there's other options out there.
There's a reason I'm not a coach or part of personnel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you really take out of a scrimmage either. It's just a preseason game light. So fair enough.
And this is something a lot of players talk about too. I asked Scott Wedgwood about it after the last preseason game, is how much do you really get out of playing against yourself?
Sure.
Really.
There's not quite the same competitive edge there.
Right.
For sure. I think that's fair. I also don't care. If there was an option for 1 preseason game, I'm in. I would take it. Yeah, that is what it is. You mentioned Wedgwood. He did not play today. They gave Trent Miner the full game. Only gives up 2 goals. Can't really fault him for either of them. He's kind of put together a solid preseason here.
It was almost 3 at one point, which was kind of scary. A little bit of a mishandled puck that almost went in.
There were a couple of pucks he tried to play that it was like,
and that's, I'm trying to think of another goaltender that I've noticed being that, willing to play the puck.
Sure.
Too. And nobody's coming to mind right now. And I think I like that, but in moderation. And I think that's the part Trent Miner was missing in today's game. I think he started to learn it as the game went on. Maybe I shouldn't touch this as much, but overall, I thought it was a solid game. I definitely think, again, in those situations where he's playing pucks, trying to pass it out and kind of getting a little, couldn't quite get it off the way that he wanted it to. There's a lot to be learned in situations like that. Overall, playing his position and stopping pucks, which is what you're supposed to do as a goaltender, I think he was good. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, historically, the Avs have not. Francouz is the only one that really played the puck a lot, I would say, at least in recent history. Georgiev would try sometimes, and I would rather he never did.
Something we don't have to worry about anymore. Yeah.
Grubauer and Varley would almost never really play the puck if they could avoid it at all costs. And I didn't feel like Blackwood plays it that often either. So
no, not too handsy with it. So, and that's where I'm saying it was a somewhat welcome surprise. I do think there's a little bit to be
some extra
managed there, but at the same time, we talk about tenacity. I liked the chances and the opportunities that he took to kind of be a little bit more aggressive with it. But again, overall, just kind of looking at his game and stopping pucks and, staying in lanes and keeping eyes on things. I think the 2 goals that he let in, I wouldn't blame on him at all.
Certainly Neither of those are his fault.
No.
Maybe you feel the first one, the rebound, he gets a little loose with, but he needs some help from his D there to help clear puck.
Absolutely.
And then the second one is a guy from the middle of the ice.
Right.
What are you supposed to do there?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that it's the biggest takeaway from preseason, but I think what they've seen in preseason, knowing Blackwood's health is up in the air for the first couple weeks of the season, what Miner's given you makes you go, okay, we'll just run Wedgwood and Miner and not worry about it.
No, I think why rush it?
Yeah, exactly.
When you have a situation where if the worst thing you're worried about is, Miner, being a little too aggressive on the puck, something you can coach him on, and something that's not necessarily, at least in my mind, the biggest issue to worry about with a goaltender. There's no reason to rush Blackwood to come back. Let him do what he needs to do to recover, even if that's 1, 2, 3 weeks into the season. I don't know about you. I'm pretty solid on Wedgwood being the starter.
For a short time.
Yes.
I don't think I believe it long term, but for 10, 15 games, yeah.
Yeah.
The other note, both Ronnie Attard and Matt Steinberg did leave the game with injuries. Attard, an awkward collision, went knee on knee. Just two guys who didn't see each other. He seemed pretty frustrated going down the tunnel, so that's a little bit concerning. Yeah. Hopefully he's okay. Steinberg blocked a shot off the ankle or foot. He did finish his shift for what it's worth, but I think that might have been more he's just really, really tough than he's okay. It was near the end of the game, though, so might be fine. I don't know. We don't really have details on the injuries there, but hopefully they are okay and that the Avs aren't already starting to build an injury pile that's too tall. It's,
these are AHL guys, too, and that's what I'm choosing to tell myself is this is something the Avalanche, hopefully, this is more of a problem for the personnel up in Loveland than I think it will be for personnel here.
I would agree.
In Denver. So that's obviously you don't want them to get injured, but at the same time, I don't think it's a super big worry for the Avalanche. Both really good players in their own respective right. I'd like to see Matt Steinberg get a little bit more time playing this season, but I think it's not something I'm super worried about. I think Attard's probably, if we're talking about, sirens going off, Attard's probably the one closer to that. But again, it's not something I'm really worried about.
With the Avs, sirens aren't going off until it's the Colorado Avalanche. So
there you go.
they're so used to the deep pool of injuries that
it's something you hope they don't have to deal with this year too. But again, I feel like we say that every year.
It does feel like it, but sooner or later, luck's got to be on their side, right?
Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think.
Kind of starting to wind down a little bit here, but the rest of this game, you look through it, the Avs have not trailed a ton in this preseason. They did trail a little bit in this game. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, if you're looking for more positives to take out of this, hey, it's a team that did go down a goal, but immediately got it back and then some and closed out the game in the third period. When you look at Colorado's systems, is there a trust there, regardless of the personnel, whether it's a bunch of AHL guys or the full NHL roster, that they play the right way, that the scoreboard almost doesn't matter?
Yes and no. I think there's always that drive to want to win, and I think that really helps mindsets going into the season is, we can prove ourselves here. What does that mean for a more official stage? Okay. But at the same time, this is what preseason is. It's you're really fine tuning at this point with what you have. Again, you're not every night going to see a full NHL roster go out. And I think that's something to kind of keep an eye on and focus on is you're not seeing full levels at 5-on-5 or power play, penalty kill, what have you. So it's really fine-tuning with what you have, working with what you have, developing what you can, and hoping that you can come out of it uninjured.
It's a lot of hopium, I think, on that last one, but
fingers crossed again. But no, that's really, you want to win them. Absolutely. And I think there's something to be said, again, kind of going back to ranks on prospects and things of that sort about where this team stands in the players that they have. There's something great to be taken out of the fact that they've won all 4, but I don't think that's the main focus for them. It's always, how can I improve? How can I be better? What can we do with what we have to fine tune this and make unstoppable rosters at 2 different levels?
Has anyone ever won the double? I'd have to look to know if anyone's ever won the AHL
I don't
and
know
NHL.
off the top of my head.
I'm not sure. I assume no is the answer, but I could be wrong about that. I did want to change gears a little bit, though, since we are 1 week from the start of the regular season. We're not sure when we'll be able to get you back on the show. Mm-hmm. I want your opening night lineup for the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay.
The full 18.
All right. Straying away from goalies because we already pretty much know that answer. I think you've got I really liked Nichushkin on that top line. So I think I'd like to see more of Nichushkin, McKinnon, Netchis. Okay. Putting Lehkonen down on that second line. Lehkonen, Nelson, Landeskog. No particular order. I liked Drury, Colton, and Olofsson, I think, so far. And then that puts Kivi, Bardakov, and
Kelly, presumably.
Yeah, presumably. Their top pair, obviously, Ken and Taves.
That's the easy one, yeah.
It's the bottom 4 that really kind of gets me because presumably you hope to have Girard back. And he's, again, I think that's still the target for this Avalanche group is having him for opening night.
Sort of rejoining practices now. Still no contact.
Yeah.
But
I think as it stands right now, I think I'd like to see if Manson Girard can provide anything else.
Sure.
And then I'd like to see Burns and Malinsky
on
that bottom pair. I think that's where I'm at.
I like it. It'll be curious. My question with these things is how long
does it last?
Yeah, and Bednar in his interview even said, well, when LOC gets back, do we want to put Drury back with him? We might want to do that. So it'll be curious what they commit to over that time. Or maybe not even what they commit to, but what clicks.
Right.
What works for them.
And I think it's very, very likely that we could see a much different lineup in, a game 5 versus a game 1.
For sure.
Again, with that unknown of how that bottom 4 is going to work, unknown on how that bottom 6 is going to work. Is an Olofsson a third line kind of guy? Can he provide there? Yeah. What does Bardakov start to look like? I don't think that's a question they start asking that early, but it's something to keep on the radar. And there's a lot that could fluctuate, I think, in those first 10 games, which I'm not totally mad about that. Again, it's an 82 game season. It's a very long season. There's time to fine tune as you start gearing towards a trade deadline in a situation like that.
And I think this is where the underrated importance of someone like a Brindley comes in. Because it's not, obviously from Brindley's personal perspective, he wants to make the team. But from the Avalanche as an organizational perspective, they're saying, hey, if he's first call up or wherever on the list you want to put him, we have a little bit more flexibility now. Yeah. If things aren't working, we can try something instead of having to just live in that soup until you make a significant trade or whatever it might be. Now, waivers is still an option. The Avs may end up going that way for an extra player on either end of their lineup, but it feels like the Avs have built something successful for the start of the season here. We don't need to go through every player as to how good they are and all of that, but compared to where they were on July 1st, where it's like, wow, their bottom 6 has some holes. What are they going to do on their defense? We're now talking about, okay, let's see what their 14th forward is.
nitpicking is a great problem to
It
have
is.
at this
It
point
really
in the
is.
season,
It really,
or at
really
least
is.
gearing up for the season. I feel like there are much more important questions other teams are asking, and the best we can come up with is, okay, what can Sam Malinsky do on his offside? Can Bardakov be the center that we are hoping he can be? What happens with Kelly and Colton? LOC? Yeah, it's a great problem to have.
Those are not harsh questions by any
No.
stretch of the imagination. So the Avs are set up well. I'm going to keep going here because we're doing our AJ and I'll have our predictions out later in the week. So I want to steal yours quickly. Central Division.
Oh gosh.
Well, I'll start with this because this is what we did during preseason. How many wins do you think the Avs get this season?
I'd like to see them at over 60.
It's over 60? That's so many.
Ideally, somewhere in the 50-60 range, maybe.
I picked 55, to be fair. So
I'd like to see them around 60
that's
is the
like,
hope.
okay, that's like President's Trophy winning team. All right.
That's the hope with what you're going into this roster with. Again, you're looking at a roster who you don't have many questions
You don't?
for.
It's true.
And I think the ceiling is higher than it's been since 2022 for this team. And so I think
that's fair too. Yeah.
that should be. I mean, you always again want to win every single game. I think if they can get to, I think your mark is good. 55. I feel like that's a good thing. I'm an overachiever.
Look, I'm always the pessimist, so shoot for 60. I'm down. If they're getting 60, they're in first in the Central at least,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
least, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'd like to see that. That's where I have them in my predictions. If
For
it's
sure.
not them, it's Dallas.
They're
But
on paper clearly 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
Everyone else can fight for the third spot. I don't. I mean, I do care. I'm a hockey nerd, and we'll watch all the games, but it's
yes,
fine. Yeah, 82 from Claudia in the Toyota chat. That's
And
that's
I'm
the
an
dream.
overachiever.
Yeah, if they win 82, they better win the extra 16 on top of that.
you
I'll put it
don't
to
even
you
have a
that way.
playoffs at that point. Just give it to them.
If you go 82-0, you're just awarded the cup. A fair shout from Billy too. The Blackwood injury,
That's
play
that's a
into
fair
it.
point. That's a valid point.
so
Yeah.
we'll see. The Olympic break is something everyone has to go through, right? Though, Jen, like there are some teams that are going to have less players that go to the
That was
Olympics.
going to be, yeah.
But also those teams probably aren't as good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, there's something to be said about all of the Avs top 6 being eyed for spots in their respective teams. So
Although I suppose the Russian contingent isn't going, so
No.
maybe the heavy Russian teams get a break there.
Maybe that, yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I mean every year there's question marks, right? You have to balance that a little bit, but questions of can this guy live up to the role as opposed to we just have holes in our lineup feels a little bit better this year than it has for the past couple.
It gives you a lot to be excited about, that's for sure.
Definitely agree on that one. Did you have thoughts for the rest of the Central or no? They're all just bums.
I'm interested to see how Utah does this year. Vemelka is somebody I've had on my radar for a while, so I'm interested to see how that all shakes out for them through an 82-game season. The Minnesota Wild, especially with the freshly signed Kirill
You're
Kaprizov,
gonna have to earn every dollar this year.
yeah, which, given how certain players react to just being signed, it is a storyline I'm
For sure.
following,
You'll
because
see
I
plenty
mean,
of
coming
guys.
onto not a career year, a contract year, you see some of the best hockey these guys have played in their lives. Now you've got a guy who's, again, freshly inked to a new contract. Interested to see just how much he's going to earn that.
He's going to have to if they want to be good. I'll put it to you that way.
But Avalanche and Stars are the biggest ones on my list, just to kind of see where that all ends up.
Yep, I think they're the most interesting teams. I think Winnipeg's fallen off quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll save the rest of my thoughts for our actual preview video coming later in the week. But we are just about done here. Bailey, if you want to tell the people where you can find all of your stuff, shout it out.
Yeah, find my articles and work over at thehockeynews.com. Find myself on Twitter, X, whatever you choose to call it. I know people have their preferences.
It'll be Twitter forever.
Will be. Find me over on Twitter at Bailey Curtis, and that's Bailey with 2 Y's. And find my other Avs podcast, or my main Avs podcast, at Avs Warning Pod on Twitter. We are the Avalanche Warning. Lots of good content over there as well.
All right. Go check her out. We will be back tomorrow for another post game. It'll be AJ and I, so tune into that one. And then we've got, previews of the season coming Thursday, Friday. That's going to do it for the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.